Hello, hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world. What I want to do in this video is talk to you about this piece of research that very much stopped me in my tracks when I first read it a couple of weeks ago, because it points to an anti-aging habit that costs nothing, that no supplement company on earth could bottle and then sell you, and that almost nobody ever talks about. I certainly had never heard about this before. And when I was reading it, it took me quite a while to get past my skepticism. I almost didn't make this video because it sounds a bit too airy-fairy. But I found the research so interesting that even if some of you don't believe it, or you find it a bit wishy-washy, or you raise an eyebrow at it, I still think it's worth sharing. So bear with me on this video. The headline claim is that this one habit is linked to living around 7.5 years longer. It is a pretty long time. It isn't a food, it isn't an exercise, it isn't even a fasting window or obviously a cold plunge or a sauna or anything you've ever heard me talk about on this channel before. And when I first read the numbers in this study, honestly, I didn't quite believe them because the effect size is bigger than pretty much anything else I've ever talked about, and certainly bigger than anything in the supplement aisle could ever dream of selling you. So let me take you through what the research actually shows, why there are real physical reasons it could be changing how your body ages, and most importantly, how you use it, because this one comes with a real catch that you need to understand, or else it will just do nothing for you. And as always, I will put the link in the description below for you so you can take a read of this entire research study in your own free time. If you're new to the channel, then hello, welcome. My name is Dr. Alex. I'm here to help you cut through the noise, to help you live longer and stay healthier along the way. Remember that modern life is built to make you sick very slowly. Modern medicine is built to meet you once you're already there, once you're already sick, once something serious has already happened. And I've said this catchphrase so many times, but let me just keep saying it. Ill, but not dead. That is the business model of modern life. Nobody in the entire chain of pharmaceuticals or healthcare or whatever, nobody gets paid if they prevent something. There is no money in preventing disease. And that is why I started this channel. This is why I make these videos, to help you prevent disease in the first place. So, what is it? What is this habit? Well, the habit is simply what you believe about getting older. That's it. Now, I know how that sounds. It sounds very much airy-fairy, wishy-washy, a bit daft. How on earth could just a belief help you to live longer? But the evidence behind it is far stronger than you'd expect. How you think about aging, the beliefs you carry about what getting older actually means for you, appears to shape how long and how well you go on to age. And this honestly comes from decades of careful work led by a Yale researcher called Becca Levy. And there is one number in particular that made me take this really seriously. In a study that followed a group of people for years, those who held more positive beliefs about growing older went on to live on average around 7.5 years longer than those who held more negative beliefs. And to put that in human terms, we're not talking about a few extra months or weeks here and there. We're talking about, the better part of a decade of extra life tied to nothing more than a person's outlook. And this wasn't just because, the positive people happened to be healthier to start with, because the effect held up even after the researchers accounted for age and sex and wealth as well, and loneliness and just their baseline health. So basically, even once you strip out all of the obvious explanations, the belief itself still seemed to matter. Now, to put those 7.5 years into perspective, that is a bigger gap than we tend to see from things like a lower blood pressure or lower cholesterol just taken on their own. And obviously it goes well beyond lifespan. Becker-Levy's body of work has linked positive age beliefs to better memory, to faster and fuller recovery from illness and disability, and even to lower levels of the sticky proteins in the brain that we associate with Alzheimer's disease, those beta amyloid plaques and the tau tangles that build up as that condition takes hold. Then, just this year in 2026, her team published something that reframes this whole conversation. They followed nearly 4,000 older adults for more than a decade, and instead of only measuring decline, they also used tests that could also pick up improvement as well as decline. So tracking people's thinking with cognitive tests and their physical function with walking speed as well. What they found is that nearly half of adults over the age of 65 in this study actually got better at one or both of those, years later, at later checkups than they had done years earlier. So we're talking about, the walking speed test or those cognitive tests. That is real improvement, not simply a gentler decline. They actually reversed and got better. And the people most likely to improve were the ones who actually started out with more positive beliefs about aging in the first place. But obviously the elephant in the room, the big question is, how could a belief, something just happening entirely inside your head, actually change what's going on inside your body? How can a thought actually cause something physical? Well, that was my first reaction as well, because I thought precisely the same when I first read it. How on earth could simply believing something add years to your life? It honestly does sound a bit like wishful thinking dressed up as science. And believe me, like I said, I'm somebody who's pretty skeptical about anything wishy-washy like this. I like concrete evidence, things that I can see and measure and feel, which is exactly why I had my guard up when I first started reading this. So let me give you the honest answer to this question, and also the equally honest caveat that sits alongside it. Let me start with the caveat first. So this is largely observational research, which means it shows a powerful and consistent link, but it can't on its own prove that the beliefs directly caused the extra years. And it's possible that confident, optimistic people, differ from pessimistic ones in other ways as well. Now, good scientists and good researchers, and Becker-Levy is very much included in that, these people are very careful, about exactly that point. But there are two very plausible routes by which a belief would translate into real biology. The first one, and the big one, is behavior. That is what this channel is about. It's about trying to convince you to change your behavior to lead to better health outcomes down the line. If you believe deep down that getting older means inevitable decline and frailty and becoming irrelevant, then why would you bother strength training? Why would you take up a difficult new hobby at the age of 70? Why would you push yourself to stay socially connected? Well, you wouldn't. You would slowly, understandably give up, and it's the giving up that ages you. But if you believe that later life can be active and capable and worth investing in, then you keep doing the very foundations that keep you well. The belief drives the behavior, and the behavior drives the biology. And I see this constantly in my own life as well. So two of our closest friends, called Mark and Lisbeth, they are in their 70s. They were our neighbours before we bought the farm and moved away from them, but we still see them maybe once every couple of months or something like that. They have got this wonderfully optimistic outlook on life. They are endlessly social. They are fit and active. They truly believe that old age can be every bit as full and exciting as their younger years were. And honestly, it is so refreshing to be around. They are probably the most sociable people that we know. And whenever we talk about aging and about health and disease, because it always comes up in conversation between us, I just say, just keep doing what you're doing. You are so busy all the time. They barely sit down. They have hobbies. They have friends. They cook from scratch. You can see, Mark is muscly, Lisbeth is very fit and active as well. Both of them are doing everything that I talk about on this channel. Now, the second route is all about stress. Now, the research found that people holding negative age beliefs showed a stronger cardiovascular stress response, more of that cortisol and strain that I always come back to. And over years and decades, that chronic low-level stress physiology wears the body down from the inside out. So a corrosive belief about aging does more than just discourage you. It isn't only that you stop doing the proactive things that I mentioned a moment ago. On top of that, holding negative beliefs seems to switch on a low-grade stress response of its own. And over time, that sort of chronic strain may actively inflame the body from within. It causes low-grade inflammation. So, does this mean that you can just sort of think positive thoughts and then just automatically live longer? Well, obviously, no, that's not the case. And this is probably the most important part of this video. A positive belief about age